Welcome to Spiral of Wisdom. We're really happy that all of you are here, and we have a special speaker, Namitha, who's with us. So very, very warm welcome to each and every one, and especially to our esteemed speaker. As usual, we begin with the school prayer, and I request Swati to kindly recite the school prayer.
Good evening, all. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. And now I request Ramesh to kindly introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Sajani. A very warm welcome to Namitha ji. Today our speaker's name is Namitha Sinha ji, and she is the yoga lifestyle consultant with training in the revered yoga tradition of Swami Rama of the Himalayas, which I'm sure many of you would be interested to hear more about. She's been studying, practicing, and teaching yoga to diverse profiles of people from the age groups of 4 to 8. Her approach to yoga is holistic.
A little louder, please, Ramesh. I'm not able to hear you very.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yes, very much.
Okay. Okay, her approach to yoga is holistic. As I was mentioning earlier, she belongs to the yoga tradition of Swami Rama, the famous Swami Rama of the Himalayas. And her approach to yoga is holistic based on classical texts of yoga that declare manana, prashamanana, upaya yoga, ityabhi dhiyate. From the Yoga Vasishta, which declares yoga as a technique to make the mind steady and tranquil. She's been teaching yoga for over 13 years in group classes, private classes, retreats, and so on. She's a yoga master, a yoga wellness instructor, and trained at world-recognized yoga schools, such as the International Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Center, Himalayan Yoga Tradition, and Ayurvedic lifestyle consultant from the American School of Vedic Studies. She is also a yoga teacher, trainer, certified by the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. Before turning to yoga full-time, she served as a marketing professional with the Tata Group for a decade and received unique learning experiences that have shaped her yoga teaching in a practical and applied way. She considers herself a student of yoga for life, like I'm sure all of us do too. And we'd love to hear more from her. So over to Namitha Sinha ji.
Thank you so much, Ramesh. And now, before we start, I'd like everyone to keep the audio on mute. If there are any questions, they may be asked at the end of the session, right? Thank you. It's over to you, Namitha.
Thank you so much, Ramesh, for the introduction, and thank you, Sajani ji and Swati, for this opportunity to share. And before I begin, I'd like to say a small prayer to the Guru Spirit. Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam yena characharam Tat padam darshitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Whatever that may have been said in the introduction is what is needed when we come to a gathering like this. But honestly, I'm just a student of yoga, still learning the very first lessons that I learned in the beginning, and they keep revealing to me the new meanings every single day. So I would like to firstly say that I have been facing a bit of internet connectivity challenge. So I hope my internet connection will not betray in the next 1 hour or so while we are all here. So I'd like to begin with, I felt like when a gathering like this, all of you are following some kind of a spiritual discipline, some kind of education that all of you are following. And yoga is not new. Everybody would have experienced or may continue to be practicing some parts of it. Because yoga is so widespread today that almost everyone has some or the other kind of exposure to it. But then yoga is also widely used and widely misunderstood word because it is so vast that it's not something that can be gathered or contained. So even somebody who tries to be genuinely understand yoga, then there's just parts of it that keeps coming to you. So whichever way that you may have learned, whether it is the physical aspect, which is most common that most of us have learned it as some form of asanas or pranayamas. And nowadays, a lot of people are also attending discourses on the philosophical side of yoga. What I thought I would like to share is what yoga has to offer to us, because whatever spiritual discipline that we follow, ultimately, the aim is that it needs to bring in about some change within us. That is the purpose. And through that change, we must experience a state of tranquility. And so for that, I'd like to share, I have a small presentation, although I do not want to stick to the presentation completely, but maybe it will just kind of give a flow of the points that I'd like to share. So yoga, what it gives us is that it gives a whole understanding of the human life and our connection with the life around us, where we have come from, where we are, and where do we want to go. And how do we work with what we have right now to move towards the goal that we have. So in that way, it's a very systematic path that leads us to the goal of life. And while we are here, from wherever we may have come or wherever we want to go, it is a very systematic process that it gives on to work with ourselves. And it shows us how to live well here and now. So in that sense, yoga essentially makes us independent. It is a self-therapy. And as one goes deeper into yoga, one finds ways to heal oneself at multiple levels. And this is a very important aspect because today we are seeing multiple sciences that have come wherein we turn to all kinds of alternate therapies are there, occult sciences are there, they are all very valid. But in the end, what is it that we do is really what makes the change, because all change begins with the transformation, and transformation is inner work that you need to do. And so yoga gives a roadmap to the self-therapy. So in that way, yoga is also a very good foundation to all the spiritual sciences and all the spiritual paths. No matter which path you follow, yoga is a good foundation. And in what way? So when we say yoga, then it has come from thousands and thousands years old teachings, which was taught even to by the gods and by the sages. So to Lord Rama, who was disillusioned as a teenager, his guru, sage Vasishtha, taught that how do I control my mind? My mind is all over the place. How do I control this mind? To which sage Vasishtha said, Manaha prashamanaha upaya yoga ityabhidhiyate. Meaning, yoga is the upaya, is a technique, it's a tool, it's a method of manaha prashamana, which is mana, which is the mind. And the mind is not just a single identity. The explanation of mind is very vast and deep in the yoga and the Vedanta philosophy. Prashamana is the pacification, because the mind has the nature to be agitated. So manaha to pacify it, to tranquilize it, to make it steady, and to make it clear. So that very definition of happiness, as we may understand, ordinarily speaking, is very different when it comes to yoga. Because happiness has But what is Ananda does not have a reverse, because yoga is to lead you to Ananda, which does not, which it is like eternal, you know. And then in Bhagavad Gita, which very much it begins with Arjuna's disillusionment and depression, and Arjuna is all confused and he's feeling extremely agitated and has lost all confidence, to whom Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Krishna teaches that yoga is samatvam. Samatvam yoga uchyate. What is samatvam? Samatvam meaning equanimity. What is equanimity? The moment we say equanimity, then it means that there is something which is pulling it apart. There is some conflict, something which is polarity, and pacification of that and making it equanimous is yoga. Then becoming the definition. And I was listening to the conversations that we were having of about Ma'am Manise, and Swami Rama, my guru, was very closely associated with her. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. And Swami Rama has, in his book, said, Art of Joyful Living, says, happiness is that which is everlasting. Happiness is that which elevates you, that which you can share with others. So in that sense, happiness is not transient. So a lot of happiness that we seek is transient. It is here tomorrow, gone to here today, gone tomorrow. And it may elevate us temporarily, but then it does not really. It elevates us externally, but not internally, not permanently at least. And that which you can share with others, in which case our happiness is not limited to ourselves. So when we come to working on it, then how do we work on this? Is that we as human beings are beings of two worlds. We live in two worlds. We have an external world and we have an internal world. The external world, we have all received very good training. You know, right from the childhood, all of us have received good training of how to get educated, how to earn money, how to live in the society, how to behave, how to drive, how to be in the world. We have all received that training. But to our internal world, we have not received any training. How do I manage myself? How do I manage my mind? We have not really received that training. And that is really very much evident in our world that we see. Very recently, you may have read about cases, and there are multiple cases like that, of people who are very smart, very intelligent, doing extremely well in the world, are being written about as kind of role models in terms of their fitness, in terms of their intelligence, in terms of their business acumen, or whatever they are excelling in their fields. But then suddenly one day they sort of collapse and they have no idea what went wrong with them. It is because we have not really understood ourselves in a holistic way. We are thinking of ourselves as beings that have to go out there, get this done, get that done, and behave in a certain way, or at least look a certain way to the society. But whatever is happening inside us is something that we have not really learned to manage. And this internal world is really managed at the three levels that we learn to examine ourselves, which is actions, speech, and thought. It's like in the external world, if I had to take care of my finances, then I know exactly where do I need to earn, how do I need to save, how do I need to spend. So these becomes the tool through which I measure my finances. And then I kind of see how I want to go about it if I have a certain financial goal. So likewise, in our internal world, if my goal is happiness, peace, tranquility, or spiritual progression, then how should I be? This is the way of yoga. So this is where self-therapy begins. It begins when we have learned to have a meaningful dialogue with ourselves. So it's very, I would say, comes like a default setting that we all have within us, that we blame our circumstances, our upbringing, our parents, our whoever, people who may have influenced us either in good way or bad way, or even our situation, that because of such and such thing that I am suffering. No, but really self-therapy begins when we learn to take responsibility for our own self. And that essentially includes our internal world. And this, until we are not aware of it and being ignorant of it, is what we form a certain physical and mental habits that make us sick. In yoga, again, going back to Yoga Vasishtha, all the suffering comes from two kinds of sufferings are there, which is Adhi and Vyadhi. So Adhi originates in the mind, which has originated as a thought, which is as a source of our thought, the very base from where all our thoughts arise. That is Adhi. And then there is Vyadhi, where Vyadhi is when that suffering has manifested into the body. So one may say, I have hypertension, or I have high blood pressure, or I have diabetes, or whatever kind of, especially all the kinds of lifestyle diseases that we're seeing, a lot of hormonal imbalances. All of these things have now come and manifested themselves onto your body. But really, the base of this is all essentially, even medical science has accepted that about 80% of the diseases are born in the mind. So they're called the psychosomatic diseases. So really, how do we learn to manage ourselves? So if you're saying that yoga teaches us the art of joyful living, then are we saying that we are not joyful right now? And if we are not joyful, are we joyful all the time? And why are we not joyful all the time? What is one main reason that brings us down, that takes our joy away, that any kind of sadness or anger or unjoyful feelings or thoughts arise in us? And it is something that we need to first ask ourselves as to why am I not joyful? Why don't I feel the joy? And is this joy, it is because of others around me or my situation? What is my role in this? In the Bhagavad Gita, the identification with the non-self and then identifying with the external world is what causes us the distress. Dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamat krodho bhijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhramaha smriti bhranshat buddhi nasho buddhi nashat pranashyati. So this, in 2 verses in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna has kind of summarized our state of mind, which is that because we are identifying on the objects of the senses, what we are perceiving in the outer world as our relationships, as our possessions, and our interactions and experiences, we become attached to them. And this attachment leads to desires or expectations. And from this desire arises anger. From kama arises krodha. And then this krodha, anger, leads to clouding of judgment. I think this reminds me of that Panchatantra story that we all have heard, that about that lion who said that he wants going to eat an animal every day from the jungle. And all the animals gathered and said, you don't bother coming eating us. One of us will come to you every single day, right? And one of the animals, I don't remember, it was either a rabbit or one of the animals, one day it was his turn to go and he went very late. And then the lion was sitting there all hungry. And we all know that when we get hungry, then really anger is not far away. So the lion was very angry and very hungry. And the moment this rabbit came, he said, why are you so late? I am so hungry. I've been waiting for you. So he said, I was coming, but I saw another lion who said that he was the king of the jungle, right? And I'm sure you know the story. So when the lion was so angry that when he himself saw his reflection in the well, the water of the well, he could not discern that it was not another lion, but it was his reflection. So this kind of shows that how anger clouds our judgment. We cannot see right from wrong and what is beneficial and what is not beneficial. So what happens? We have the results in bewilderment or loss of memory. What is the memory? Which is the buddhi, which is tells you what is right, what is wrong. And when that buddhi is buddhi nasha transhyati. When the intellect is destroyed, then one is ruined. So you cannot discern from the right to the wrong. Why? Because we have become attached. Now, if you notice, we are affected only by the things that we are attached to. So for example, if you read in newspaper that something bad has happened, an accident has happened, that we read, newspaper are all full of all of that. So we say, oh, so sad, this family has suffered and whatever. But then in the moment you have turned the page, you have forgotten about it. But what with when it happens to a close friend or to even nearer one? Then it's a totally different experience. And this is exactly what happened with Arjuna. Arjuna said, I am ready to kill. I am the best warrior. Who is there who has come to fight with me? I shall kill them. But the moment he saw that, oh, these are the people whom I love and respect, and he's my Dronacharya, is my guru, Bhishmacharya, he's my grandfather, great, he's the Bhishma Pitamaha. How can I kill them? And this is exactly what happened, because he identified and he forgot who he was. That in the battlefield, he was just a warrior. He was not someone's nephew, or he was not someone's student, or he was not someone's brother. And this is the identification which, now this can be very stark, and one may even question as to how am I not supposed to feel. But the idea is not to say that immediately you detach in that way, but to understand the larger picture. And the journey to that begins with small steps. And the steps begins with to know yourself. If you see, a lot of times we are really looking all the time, we want to be with someone. We say, oh, I was getting bored. So commonly we hear, I was getting bored. I was getting bored, so I called this friend, or I want to be with people. And actually in the society, it is seen as a good quality. To be social, human beings are social animals, so it is good to be social. But if you are not comfortable being alone, especially when we say alone, not like without your phone and without a book as well, just by yourself, your own company, how you are, that shows your relationship with yourself. So we have not fixed our relationship with ourselves, and we are building relationships in the world. And this becomes that is why we have a lot of expectations. We feel that the relationship will fulfill me. Whereas it is always that the very people who we love, or who we call as they love us, are the ones who will make you feel lonely, because you're always wanting to be with them. Without them, you are lonely. So if you know yourself, you will never be lonely again. And this is the process of the whole of yoga. And how do we begin that? Is begin with establishing a relationship with ourselves and know ourselves at 3 levels. At the level of the body, at the level of the speech, and the level of the mind. So at the level of the body, it means that how am I performing my actions? How am I performing my, how am I taking my food, my sleep activity, and the sexual activity? A lot of times, all of these like food, sleep, and sex becomes like some sort of a resort to go to if we are feeling emotionally empty. No? So you fill yourself with food, or you oversleep, or you want to indulge in sexual activity. So, and beginning with understanding ourselves, and beginning with accepting ourselves as to where we are. And then in speech, how am I speaking? What is my speech like? And the mind, what is the nature of my thoughts? And it also then reflects in how we are breathing, and that is also connected with the nature of our thoughts. And this is why in yoga, the practices of asana, pranayama, relaxation, and meditation, all of these are very, very helpful, because you essentially begin to spend that time with yourself, and you're building that relationship with yourself through the body and through the breath and through the mind. And in this, there is no one size fits all. Although we may go for a group yoga class and we attend group sessions, but each one will have their own journey. You know? It is like if all of us had to go to the school of ancient wisdom, then no single route will apply to everybody, right? Someone is coming from Koramangala will have a different route to follow. Someone is coming from Banshankari will have a different route to follow. Someone coming from Whitefield will have a different route to follow. So it's like a GPS system. So you know where you are, you know what your goal is, and then there is a roadmap. So begin from wherever you are, and that begins with acceptance. And then from there is the roadmap to progression. So first, when we come to action, observing how am I in my actions? Any work that we do, sometimes we may notice that there is a conflict in the mind. And I think it's a very popular term, especially I know when I was in my corporate life, we used to often, the moment Monday is coming, everyone is depressed from Sunday evening. And Monday morning, people will discuss Monday morning blues. Since Sunday evening itself, I start feeling depressed about going to office on Monday morning. And then the other side of that is TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. All of this is concepts is just an indication of our resentment towards our work. It's like, I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. So becoming aware that where is the conflict, and knowing that whatever work that has been assigned to us, whatever work has come to us, has come because we need to do it. That may be our karma, that may be our prarabdha karma through which it has come. So it has to be done. And if it has to be done, Swami Rama used to say, love what you do and do what you love. Which is, sometimes you say, oh, some part of my job I really like. Some part of my job I really dislike. So we have to learn. It is easy to do what you love. But where you really need to work is to love what you have to do. And that is through the expression of joy. This very popular, well-known shloka of Bhagavad Gita. It says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachanam. So, which is, do your work, but do not think about the fruits of the work. Which is, you have the right to only do your work. Whether it will get recognition, appreciation, or it will get you money, it will get you promotion, it will get you somewhere. The moment, of course, we need to have a goal. It's like a student who is studying for an examination and wants to score 90% or whatever, has to put in that effort. But also know that whatever will come will be accepted. Will be accepted because there are many elements that are involved in what will come as a result. And that is the most important part. There isn't anyone ever who has not faced failure. And this is why the attitude to failure is really what makes us. So the work, when it is done, so why postpone that joy? I will be happy when I get that 90%. I will be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when I get that appreciation, that recognition. Why postpone? Let joy express through you when you are working. Just express that joy. And when does that happen is when the work that we are doing is not confined to ourselves. Is, most of the time that when we are working, what happens is, whenever the work, this is the correction in the understanding that we can bring, adjustment in understanding, that whatever work that we do, if it is confined to the benefits accruing to me or maybe to my immediate family, then we know that is how much constricted our idea is of life is. The more and more, so begin with your immediate people. If it is just to do with you, then expand it to your family, expand it to your friends, or expand it to your near and dear ones, and learn to observe yourself as to, am I doing work only for myself recognition and my self-benefit? Is it a selfish action or is it a selfless action? The more selfless it becomes, the more joy it gives you. And here I would like to say that if we look at our Prime Minister, the way he works, at his age, every day people are appalled at his energy. It is because he has nothing for himself. And he works at a very big scale because it is for somebody else. And if it is something goes wrong, then I have nothing to lose. I am doing only for because even when you face failure in that way, because your goal is larger, you do not give up. You get up, you stand up, and you move again. And this is why when the goal is selfless, then it becomes a long-term, a larger goal. And that is when we are not brought down by small failures. Then it's coming to speech. How am I speaking? And here there are two principles of Mauna and Satya, silence and truth, which is to say, oh, it is better just shut your mouth and sit. No, please don't misunderstand. In fact, silence is, as Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya has said, silence is measured speech. It is like fasting of the mind, you see. And if you have to speak, then what are the three gates through which it should pass? Is hitam, mitam, and priyam. Like what I am speaking, is it beneficial to someone? Is it necessary to speak in some way? Is it beneficial? And in fact, this speech also is related to the speaking that we do to ourselves. Most of the time we are speaking to ourselves. So that also you should include in this. Is it hitam? Is it beneficial? Is it beneficial to me if I'm thinking this thought? Or is it beneficial to the person who I'm speaking to? Is it measured? Or am I speaking more than necessary? Swami Rama says most of the people who speak too much speak nonsense. So is it measured? And actually, it is a very good management principle as well, which I learned back in my corporate days. I was doing a project with McKinsey. It is one of the top business consultancy firms in the world. And they have this concept of MECE, and they call it MECE, which means mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. So whenever you're writing something, you see that you're not repeating yourself, one. And secondly, that you are saying the whole thing, that you're not missing out something. So you've said everything that needed to be said, yet you're not repeating. Mitam, measured. Priyam, pleasant. It should be pleasant. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na apriyam satyam bruyat. Which is what is truth? That which is pleasant. If you must speak the truth. So truth is like, if someone is dull, you don't say, oh, you are a fool. Of course, it may be true, but is it pleasant? If it is not pleasant, then it should not be spoken. And this is the discipline. This is the discipline of self-discipline of speech, of restraint, essentially. And when you come to the thoughts, and in the thoughts is, what is our attitude? The cultivation of the right attitude is friendliness, maitri, karuna, mudita, upeksha. This comes from Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which says, maitri, karuna, mudita, upekshanam, sukha, dukkha, punya, apunya vishayanam, bhavanata, chitta, prasadana. Okay, so the word is Chitta Prasadanam. Chitta means the mind, the whole of the mind, which thinks. And Prasada means pleasant. By here, pleasantness is not just having a smiling face, sure, smiling face, but it is a result of the smiling mind. The smiling face is a result of the smiling mind. Okay? So the mind is pleasant. And which mind is pleasant? The mind that is clear. The mind that is clear is pleasant. We feel happy when the mind is clear. When the mind is clouded, it is unpleasant. So these are the 4 attitudes for Chitta Prasadanam. The first one is Maitri, friendliness. Friendliness to who? To those who are happy. And we must think about it. How to whom are we friendly? So those Sukha who are in happiness, be friendly with them, not being jealous. Karuna, compassion towards those who are unhappy. So to have compassion towards those who are unhappy. Mudita, cheerfulness towards those who are doing good work, no? Which is punya, those who are doing punya work of punya, which is like, it is often we get very suspicious about someone is doing some charitable work. Then we can say, oh, God alone knows, maybe he's just doing it to turn his black money into white. He's doing all this charity. Okay, he may be doing it, but what are we doing? Are we looking at ourselves? So if somebody is doing good work, be cheerful about it, appreciate it, and genuinely feeling it. Not just we are speaking something, but you're feeling something different. Upeksha is indifference. Why? Because there will be some who will be doing apunya, which is unmeritorious work. There will be always these elements. So to learn to become indifferent, upeksha, to ignore them and become indifferent to them. So these are really the attitude. And these are, I would say, just the beginning things to contemplate on. And then yoga gives a complete, I would say, a canvas to work with ourselves. So I'd like to, I think it is something that you all may have some thoughts. I'd like to stop here and do further sharing through a discussion and any questions that you may have. I'll be happy to elaborate further if I can with my limited knowledge.
Right. Thank you so much. And we'll open it up for questions now. Anyone would like to ask any questions? Please unmute yourself and ask. Yes, Ramesh.
Yeah, I have a question that sums up a very strong question.
Little louder, Ramesh.
Yeah, I think your audio is not very clear, Rameshji.
Am I audible now?
Yes, better.
Okay. So, my question was regarding your last quality, where you're indifferent towards people who are doing adharmic work,
Right.
I can say. So, this is a big question I have, because that is a natural tendency. But over the period of, over the years, as you get into periods of, as you get into positions of responsibility, or when you really are making a difference to your community, or making an attempt to, they say, we clearly advise, don't be quiet when adharma is being done. Stand up against it, or make an effort to spread dharma. So this, whatever you mentioned of being indifferent, doesn't work there. So how does one balance it out? Because in the world there are so many people who are in positions of responsibility, or people who are really, whether knowingly or even unknowingly, they are people who make a difference to their communities, to their families. So such people can't afford to be indifferent. How does that work?
Thank you, Ramesh. That's a very good question and a very good observation. And I would say, with my limited knowledge and limited experience, I agree with you. And it is a question that even I had, because I have at times also felt very strongly about some adharma that we see, and we say, how can we be quiet towards it? And indeed, one should not be quiet towards it. But then it is always about going back to one size does not fit all, right? It's always about who, where you are and where you are going. So what is your journey? No? So in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna has explained three kinds of people: the sattvic people, the rajasic people, and the tamasic people, right? So you're familiar with that. So what we need to ask ourselves is that what is my goal, and whether by engaging in this activity, does it make me what I want to be to reach my goal? Am I moving towards rajas if that's my goal? Am I moving towards sattva if that's my goal? And it may all be fine. It is all about where you are and what is true for you right now. And for example, it may even be at a certain stage in your life, you may be in that rajasic mode and you should contribute. You should contribute in that way. And then another stage in life, it may be a different way that you will contribute to the same cause, I would say. You know, so in fact, we have had, and it always brings me to the example of Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo, as many of us know, was actually a freedom fighter. No? And when he was protesting, or he was doing one of the protests against the British, he was jailed. And in the jail, he used all of his time for sadhana, and he became enlightened in the jail. And then he left the freedom movement, right? And when Gandhiji said to him that, Aurobindo, like, where have you gone? We need you here because the freedom movement is really taking off. And he said, you do your work there. I'm going to do my work in this way. And India was declared independent on Sri Aurobindo's birthday, 15th August. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think it does. Basically, I should ask for, or maybe I should hear that inner wisdom that helps you distinguish when to do what.
Yeah. It's a continuous process. And again, it comes back to what is true for you. A lot of times we are receiving constant suggestions, so many suggestions that our own inner voice gets totally lost and clouded in that. So that is why the practice of silence, contemplation, and meditation, journaling, all of those things really play a role to really see ourselves and ask ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question. Anyone? Or you can give suggestions, comments, anything. Yes, go ahead. iPhone. No, I don't think there is. There don't seem to be any questions. You know, what I liked was you used a lot from the Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter, you mentioned that verse, and there was quite a bit of the Bhagavad Gita. So I was happy about that. And then about yoga proper, would you like to say something?
Okay. I'll say a few things about when we say proper yoga, then as we understand.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know what you mean by proper yoga.
No, I just meant yoga, which means pranayamas and asanas and meditation, that part of it. Because that's what you're teaching, isn't it?
Yes. I teach everything. I'm not limited to the asanas and pranayama, but asanas and pranayama and the physical part of yoga.
Yes.
Actually, yoga, if we see, is the external and the internal, antaranga yoga and bahiranga yoga. So the bahiranga yoga is what we see externally, which is your yama, niyamas, asana, pranayama are the bahiranga yogas. which is the practices that you do externally. And then is the Antaranga Yoga, which is Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. Dharana is concentration. Dhyana, as we all know, is meditation. And Samadhi is the culmination of self into Paramatman. So now, when we are beginning this practice,
Kindly mute yourself. I can hear someone speaking. Swati, kindly mute him.
So when we are speaking of how do we build the practice through, suppose if essentially larger number of people are doing asanas and pranayama, and how can we use the practice of asana and pranayama to go deeper into the self? And the journey can even begin from there. So how do you choose the asana practice is again dependent on how, wherever you are, in terms of what your body allows and what your routine allows. But some amount of that practice is definitely necessary because it is unlike an exercise. Asanas are unlike an exercise wherein when you put the body in deep asanas, which leads the mind into a deep concentration. So when you're doing a twist, or when you are doing a Shirsasana, or you're doing a Sarvangasana, or standing on the shoulder, then the whole of the concentration comes into the body. And this is the way that the distracted mind comes into a concentration. The definition of asana as such is given as sthira sukham asana, which is the asana is that which is steady and comfortable. And by that, it means that how we hold our posture. So when we do so is then asana only about the flexibility? There's just so much flexibility. Even a gymnast can do a lot of flexible postures, so to say. But is that then yoga? The yoga is when the posture becomes sthira and sukha. And that posture is not just holding the asana. Of course, it is holding the asana, but it is preparatory to the Antaranga Yoga, which is when you sit down in the asana. Then the asana is steady. That you sit down in meditation, then the meditation, the posture is steady. And when we say posture is steady, what is the posture? It's the position. It's the position that you take. And that position is steady. And that position is what? It's like a lot of people may achieve some kind of a steadiness in the posture. But do we have the steadiness of the mind? So that is why when in the meditation, when you may sit still, but the mind goes all over the place. When the mind will go all over the place, the body will start to move. The body cannot sit still. And that is when the, what we say as the pins and needles in the legs, like the legs go to sleep or knees ache, and all of those kind of discomforts happen, which is in yoga called angamejayatva. The restlessness of the body comes up. So all of that is really taken care of by doing an asana practice. So the practices of asana pranayama is a good foundation because sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam, which is the body is the vehicle, is the means for dharma. Because all the dharma, all the duty, whatever duty that you have been given in this world that you have to do, whether you are working in an office, or you're a sports person, or you are a homemaker, whatever that you may be, you're a student, you need to be healthy. Or even if you want to pursue a spiritual discipline, you want to have spiritual aspirations, then you want to have a fit body. And for the fit body, you need to do the asanas. And that is why in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it is said, the yoga, the marg is many. There is a karma marga, there is a bhakti marga, there's a jnana marga. But for all of the margas, you need to have the healthy body. If you don't have healthy body and you keep studying the scriptures, but the body will practice of asanas really keeps the body steady in that way. And then coming to pranayama, before the pranayama, I would say that the steadiness of the breath, a lot of times people are practicing pranayama without having proper regulation of the breathing, which is a smooth breath, proper breathing. And the breath is very intimately connected to our mind. In fact, the diaphragm, which is the main muscle which regulates our breathing process, receives its signals from the cerebral cortex, which is in the brain. And so even when we are doing asanas, then like Sarvangasana or other asanas that we do, then the cerebral cortex it's getting activated. So thereby, proper breathing through the asana will also help you to regulate your breathing. And the breath is very intimately connected to your mind and the nature of the thoughts. So you cannot catch the mind, you cannot catch the thought, but you can begin with the body, you can begin with the breath. It is said, chale vatam, chale chittam. As the wind moves in the body, so moves the mind. And for that, so when we were speaking of anger and all the disturbing emotions, one of the first steps to do to withdraw from the object that is making us angry to ourselves, and thereby bringing that that calming down of the breathing. So what will happen when the emotions are disturbed? Then the breath is going to be irregular. By irregular meaning that it's going to have a lot of jerks in it. And then it's not going to be even. So your inhalations could get longer and very sudden short exhalations could happen. So that is irregular. So what happens is that the oxygen levels in the body will fall. That itself will stress the brain out. So it becomes like a vicious cycle. So the stress has induced incorrect breathing, and then incorrect breathing leads to further stress. So how do you break this vicious cycle is by breaking that attention and bringing it back to yourself and bringing it to your breathing. And this is where, so pranayama, when we do that pranayama, the breath is regulated, and then what happens is the mind is calmed somewhat, and then the pratyahara, which is the 5 senses that are there through which the mind is functioning. Through the 5 senses the mind is withdrawn. And so that is why we do the practice of relaxation, shavasana. It's very, very beneficial, especially in the current very stressed out lives that many people lead. It is a very, very important aspect. Unfortunately, it is something which does not receive much attention, pratyahara, because dynamism, because we want to get out there and do things. So asana and pushing ourselves, and so the whole competitive environment which is happening outside is also brought onto the yoga mat, which is not really serving the purpose at all. So relaxation is a very, very important practice. In fact, all of your rest and repair mechanism of the body and digestion, including the mental digestion, a lot of our emotions, essentially why sleep is so necessary. I mean, someone who suffered a stroke, actually recently I was reading the case, and it's because the person has barely slept in days. And there are some techies I have heard of going through severe health issues because they are not sleeping. When you don't sleep, you cannot digest the emotions, the mental activity. So what relaxation helps you is that through short relaxations through the day that you can do anytime, anywhere, even right now, sitting at your desk. And I would like to lead you all through a 5 or 10-minute practice, depending on the time that we have, of how to bring your attention to yourself and how to calm down yourself. And this is like in our world wherein we need something very instantly, it is something that is available to you very instantly. And you will notice that when you will learn to practice and pacify yourself multiple times in the day like this, then that buildup of that disturbing emotions that happens and that flare up and then that outburst of the emotions that happens, that gets sort of cut down and it is reduced, and then it is more manageable. And so we cannot directly, if we are too disturbed, then I cannot open the Bhagavad Gita and start studying and start to make sense of it. That's like, even that aeroplane, if it is going at 800 kilometers, 1,000 kilometers per hour, needs to regulate its speed and then eventually land. So this way, your breathing and the relaxations of the muscles will help you to land safely.
Thank you. Maybe we can have a short meditation now,
Yes, sure.
right?
Yeah. Sit comfortably wherever you are. Sit in such a way so that your head, your neck, and your spine are aligned, and the spine is reasonably tall and erect. Withdraw your mind from all other places and spaces and become aware of your whole body, mentally scanning the body from head down to your feet. Relax all the muscles in the body. Relax yourself. Bring your awareness to your breathing. Feel the movement of the breath in your nostrils. Calm down your breathing. Let your breath be smooth, without jerks, without pauses. Let it be a smooth and continuous flow. Exhalation, merging into inhalation. Inhalation, merging into exhalation. Feel the touch and the flow of the breath in your nostrils. As you exhale, progressively relax and let go. Letting go of all the preoccupations of the mind. A deep relaxation in the body. Bring your awareness to the silence within you. The vastness of the silence. Whatever words or sounds that arise are merely drops in this ocean of silence. Feel that silence within as a vastness of the space. And you're watching that space. And the space that is silence is surrounded all around you. Allow yourself to be dissolved in the silence. Gently bring the awareness back to the breathing. Feeling the breath in your nostrils. And allow your eyes to open slowly. Om. If anyone has any thoughts to share, can do so now. I think Sajani has left.
Thank you. It was very, very calming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Namitha ji, it was very powerful for me. And I experienced a lot of being in a state of equipoise. I think you yourself must be a deep meditator because that was the kind of space that you created. Very nice. Thank you. Was I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I actually have a question
Yes.
after others give a feedback.
Yeah.
I read maybe a book or two on Swami Rama. It was really very amazing, and I met one of his disciples, Pandit Rajmani Tigunait, on a couple of occasions when he came down to India.
I see.
I think he lives in the US at the moment.
Right.
And I'm just curious to know what kind of practices do you follow daily? Do you wake up in Brahma Muhurta, or what time you meditate? And do you follow any specific practices on the body, mind, and like you mentioned, your thoughts and words as well.
Well, a personal practice is personal. But I would say that what should one do? Again, begin with where you are, because your practice really changes at different stages. But certainly, if somebody is unable to wake up even at 8 o'clock, and suddenly if you ask them to wake up in Brahma Muhurta, then it is very difficult, almost unrealistic. So I would say that we have to know where we want to go, and we have to know where we are. So if I want to wake up in Brahma Muhurta, for example, there is a kind of daily schedule of a sadhaka that Swami Vedabharati has written an article. There's a beautiful book written by him, which has compilation of a lot of smaller booklets that he had. One of them is on daily schedule of a sadhaka, and I think it gives a very good idea of what one should do. And I think it is also related to the dinacharya and ratricharya. I hear an echo, so I don't know.
Yes, I too am hearing a feedback. I think
Maybe Sajani ji can mute herself. Someone is not muted.
I think yeah, it's gone now. Yeah, clear.
So two principles, I would say: daily schedule of a sadhaka and the dinacharya, as according to Ayurveda, dinacharya and ratricharya. So first we have to know at what time we need to sleep to be able to wake up in the morning. And Swami Vedabharati, who was my guru, like he was disciple of Swami Rama, he used to say, make 10% changes. So that is, we have to do what is sustainable. So if we do something which is very drastic, then it is very difficult. So first we have to set as to what practices we are going to do. And always preparing the body is very helpful, because doing asanas, or in Swami Rama's tradition, we are taught joints and glands exercises are very, very helpful to release the blockages. Because if the pranic energy is blocked in the body, then what can happen is that you will experience that blockage in the mind as well. So the body is the stiffness. So it helps to do a little bit of movement of joints, movements and stretching and limbering, those things help. So once you wake up in the Ayurvedic system, you need to first cleanse yourself when you wake up. So a proper cleansing. So again, it depends how much are we able to do, where we are, because personal cleanliness as a shaucha is one of the preparatory practices in yoga. So personal cleanliness and in and around, godliness is next. Cleanliness is next to godliness, right? So we all know that. So this also includes that internal cleansing, and Yoga Sutra has very beautiful definition of shaucha. It says what does happen when you do shaucha is that it's very unique explanation. It does not say that your body will be clean. It says that you will develop dislike for your own body and other people's bodies. See how much we are obsessed with our body. We are obsessed with other people's bodies, how this person is good looking, what is this, that, and all that. And what is it? The Swami Shivananda, he says, the body is full of pus, blood, urine, and mala. That's what it is. Because when you clean it, what comes out? Nothing good comes out of this body. So shaucha. So shaucha should not be taken in a very constricted sense, that in a very restrictive way, or in a very this thing. That of course it's helpful, but for a spiritual seeker, I'm saying that it reduces the body identification and this obsession with the body. So because then we are not just the body, and then if we're just looking at ourselves as the body, then we have a very limited view of ourselves and our identification with who we are. So anything related to body will undergo changes. And when that changes, then we go down. It is good, we go up. So that kind of fluctuation is reduced. So shaucha has a very, so yeah. So in terms of discipline, I would say spiritual discipline, is taken by from the guru, from a teacher, whoever your teacher has prescribed for you. You must follow it. You must follow it with a discipline and make gradual changes and be very much aware of your capacity. I would say those are the general guidelines that we need to follow for practice.
Thank you. And I wanted to tell you that I met Swami Rama. I think he came to Bangalore only once, and he had a half-a-day meditation at the Institute of Engineers years ago, and it was absolutely amazing. You know, that tall figure in his robe, he was amazing.
Yes.
So I said, I must share that with you.
Yes.
I think that's the only time he came to Bangalore, and it was a half-a-day meditation course.
Yeah. So you are very lucky because I never met him really in the body. And
Yeah.
but as someone who has received a mantra diksha in that tradition, we know that he's very much there. He's very much there. And he was very close to Manize. And I mean, this is something that I heard that he used to visit her when she was in Singapore, and he used to stay in her house. And she is the one who designed the logo of his institute in Rishikesh.
I see. We aren't aware of it because she didn't really speak to us about Swami Rama.
Yeah.
We met Pilot Baba when he came there,
Okay.
but I don't remember her talking about Swami Rama.
Never
But-
I didn't know that either.
Do you, Ramesh?
No, I didn't know this either. This is news to me.
All right. Anyway, I must tell you that this was a wonderful session and the meditation was so good. I just couldn't unmute myself on this laptop. That's why I didn't come on immediately. However, we've had a lovely session. Thank you so much for it. And we'll have a formal vote of thanks by Ramesh. Over to you, Ramesh.
Just a moment. I don't know if I can. I'd like to just share that soon I will be conducting a children's retreat at School of Ancient Wisdom this summer. So
For
I
any
have been
for any particular age group?
ages 8 to 12. 8 to 12. This will be a residential program of 4 days and 3 nights from 25th to 28th April.
Yeah.
And I have conducted about 3 children's retreat, all of them at School of Ancient Wisdom in the past. And the children have totally loved it. And the parents were in the beginning, very concerned that, oh, how these kids 3 days without gadgets, without their iPads, how are they going to manage? And the kids were thanking their parents and us at the end of 3 days, saying, we're so happy we didn't have the gadgets with us for 3 days. And so it's going to be a complete program for children in which we will teach them through, in a very playful way, the asanas will happen, the pranayamas will happen, some mantra chanting, and especially concentration exercises for children will happen, and meditation, which is suitable for children. And a lot of games and stories and all of that. And the beautiful campus, which School of Ancient Wisdom is, that we teach them even walking meditation. So that's going to happen. So just wanted to share, if anyone is interested to send their children or nieces and nephews and grandchildren, then please do consider this program. Yeah.
Please do share your number. I'd love to know more.
Yeah.
Share it in the chat.
Yeah, I will share it in the chat. And
Yes, please do.
yeah.
Ramesh, you can send Om.
Yes, I mean, I'm. In fact, do the parents accompany the children, or you just leave them there without the
Sorry?
parents? Do the parents accompany the children?
Okay, yes. Thank you for actually reminding me on that. It is actually also a kind of a family retreat. It is on the models of the international children's retreat that we used to do that at Swami Rama's ashram in Rishikesh, wherein the parents also come and the children also come, and there is parallel program going for parents. And we will also have most likely another guest teacher, very, very good teacher. And so we have a parallel program running for parents and for children. And then we also have some joint activity wherein we get to do a bit of playing in the evening together. So, so yes, parents, it is going to be like a family retreat. Yes. parents are most welcome.
So please
Thank
do
you. That sounds great. Okay, anyone has any questions about that? No? Okay,
tell
then
me
I
your-
request Ramesh to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sajani. If you just tell me your mobile number, I can type it out in the chat so that anybody can call you
Yeah,
back.
96066
Right.
89190.
Okay.
And I'm also sharing my website here. There will be all the details about that. Is actually what I could do is the children's retreat details I will share right here. So all the details are available in this link. This link will have the details on the
Thanks.
website.
Right. So yes, you can see all the details. Thank you so much, Namitha ji. Now
Yes.
on that note, I'd like to say a formal thank you from the school on behalf of the School of Ancient Wisdom. And before I do that, I want to say that your session today was really uplifting, and your meditation was very effective. In fact, I felt a deep sense of calm and equipoise, and I think it's also because of the space that you have created. It's quite obvious that you're a person who is preaching what you practice, and that is exactly what we need right now. That's the need of the hour in the world, that more and more of us practice powerfully what we believe in, especially for speakers, because that is what will bring about consciousness shift that is very, very important and required in the world at this juncture. So thank you so much, Namitha ji, for coming over and uplifting us. And I have a very fond space in my heart for Swami Rama, and Pandit Rajmaiti Gunait has been a wonderful guide as well on the 2 occasions that I've met him. And it's really nice to meet somebody from that school of practice, because I know that many of them are very strong, practitioners, very strong speakers. So thank you for being here and uplifting us. And we'd love to actually have a workshop with you at the School of Ancient Wisdom in the future, apart from this children's parents workshop, probably on the lines of meditation and whatever we spoke about today, regular practices. So thank you so much for being here and uplifting.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Namitha, again. It's so nice. And we look forward to another session, maybe face-to-face with you sometime.
Yes. Yeah, I think they did someone mention about me sharing the screen. Should I share the screen? Not needed? Okay. I have shared, I think, I don't know where is my website. Sorry. It's okay. I think I've shared the link. Is it okay? Or
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
That would be
Right.
fine.
Yeah, what I will do is I will share some more details about the children's program that's coming up with Swati, and she could probably circulate it with me.
Right. So anyone interested, please contact Swati.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramesh, for your kind words. And it is only the grace of Gurudeva that flows, and we are just small vessels who try to catch one drop of his grace. Even that we cannot handle. But yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Namitha.
Thank you, Meena ji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.